The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast here, coming to you on July 18, 2020, Saturday night. Oh, it's before Saturday nights, actually. But, I don't know. I like just doing it. I like just getting it. Why not? Kids ready to sleep, so no big deal. How you guys doing? I can't believe we're already on the back end of July. It is insane how this year's gone, this month, the whole thing, in the COVID era, if you call it that. And things aren't really improving. Things aren't really getting better, I guess. Really, Florida had the recent spike in the last few weeks. Obviously, school's an issue now. Schools will start for my 7-year-old Eli starts second grade this year, and we're going to definitely do virtual out the gate. Our school board actually passed the approval, when they call that 7-0, all the board superintendents in our county, or whatever it is, 7-0 to have the option to do virtual, and that's what we're going to do. Obviously, that's the big argument here, really, with the state of Florida, with everything spiking the last few weeks. How to move forward with schooling? It's a very complicated conversation to have, because on one hand, safety first, obviously, and if the virus is something, obviously, you believe the virus is something that can impact you, and you, obviously the outbreak has been, obviously more cases have been positive in the last few weeks. There's fear. I mean, on my end of this fear, obviously, for my kid who's 7 years old only, who I can't trust to keep his mask on for 8 hours at a time. That I don't want him to be in an environment where he gets sick. Just that simple. But there's also the other argument too, where kids, could they handle this? Could the immune system handle this? They get sick, but they don't really get as sick as you think they do because they're healthy. It's a lot of talking points, and unfortunately, it's politicized. Now, I've expressed some discontent with my governor here in Florida, which is sad to say, because up until this point, I've been praising him. I thought he's done a pretty decent job in the state of Florida since taking office in 2019. I thought I think he's governed as a moderate. He's been pro-environment. He's been pro-teachers and getting paid more. He seems to be a lot more moderate than I thought he would be out of the gate, do his campaign. And even to the beginning of the entire pandemic, when we got locked down in March, people were critical of him. I thought the criticism was actually at the time was not warranted, because I thought he was doing a decent job with what he had to do. I thought by him only making essential workers the only business to be open, as opposed to locking everybody down for 2-3 weeks to a month, which, again, I've been saying, I said over this podcast even back in April, that the risk of doing that, risk of suicides and domestic violence and child abuse, or whatever, because you locked in a room or locked in a home for X amount of time, that you have to have some sort of leniency with that. But having curfews and essential businesses open can at least give you a little bit of flexibility to at least go out and get some fresh air or whatnot and this and that. But however, he has dropped the ball big time the last few weeks. Comments about school, saying comments that, for example, if you go to Home Depot or Walmart or Lowe's, you should go to school, which is ridiculous, because obviously you're comparing someone walking to a store for 30 minutes versus going to school for 8 hours. You can't. That's a dumb comparison. And I know you're trying to get political points here. And obviously that's kind of the name of the game these days, well, not is today, but for, pretty much how we are, everything is politicized. It's really sickening to see that we can't put lives first. Like, sure, we won't go back to work. I mean, I'm back to work right now. I mean, there's still a fear that they may shut us down. Again, my job, because of the spike. But I'm glad I used to be able to work right now for the time being. But at the same time, the idea of going to this thing without any consequence, and I'm not. And again, I'm safety first in this situation. And I do also think that there's something to be said about, building an immune system to handle this, because the reality is this is not going to go away ever. Okay, the virus will never get 0% coronavirus ever. Okay, the same way we have the flu and SARS and all these other pandemics or pandemic light that we've had over the course of time. The coronavirus will be part of our lives to some degree. I do think we need to build an immune system, build herd immunity. I think that's a real thing. But at the same time, we need to be smart about it. People, the media is praising Andrew Cuomo over the course of the last couple months, and to me, he fucked up royally by, how he dealt with the nursing homes and having people go to nursing homes and the death rate spiked up. There's too much dishonest people right now in this situation, whether you're part of the media, whether you're part of, in a political party, both sides too, by the way, for the record. Both sides are fucking this up royally, okay? Although I will say, to be honest, the Republicans, in my opinion, have done a horrible job, and especially, and that's actually apropos to say too, especially because of the fact that they are the ones in power. At least in this state of Florida, they're the ones in power here. We have Republican senators, of course, here in Florida as well, and of course the President of the United States. And well, that's a whole other conversation. He looks lost in the fucking wheel right now at this point. But into the school, I don't want my kid to be in school and having to worry about him whether or not he wears his mask for 8 hours a day. He's not disciplined enough to do that just yet. It's just that simple. I mean, that's common sense. Now, I can say you can make a case maybe for high schoolers to go back to school to some degree, because they're older, and they know common sense for the most part. I mean, I'm obviously, it's still teetering on, maybe some of them may not understand to some degree, or maybe rebellious to some degree, but, at the same time, I would say high schoolers you guess high schoolers go back to school, whatever, but people, first grade, second grade, third grade, elementary school, even middle school, yeah, you can't depend on those age groups to really get the job done, to keep the masks on and all that, and it's bad. And my support for the governor here, I've gone from really considering voting for him for re-election in 2022 to now I'm like, well, I don't know, I this is bad. I can't support you. I just can't, so. But I don't think we'll be sending our kid to school in the immediate future, physically. We'll just have them do homeschool. And this is where I'm also very thankful that my wife and I both have jobs that are flexible. That if he does go to homeschool, and we did do homeschool for the last couple months prior to obviously the school year ending, we were able to accomplish that, and our schedules will be able to facilitate that to some degree as well. So. Thankful there on that part. Not a lot of people have that flexibility and that option and whatnot. And obviously I feel bad for other people who are not in the same situation as I am. I'm thankful, that I am and my wife is. So just be appreciative of what we have right now, So what else I have on the document to talk about? So I've been talking about the last 7 months about. Writing, and I go through these moods where I get on a roll with blogging, and then I stop for X amount of time, and I get back for a little while, and I can't say I get a consistent thing going. Although this week I wrote 2 blogs actually. I wrote 2 blogs, as I said on the last episode. I wrote one on Ted Cruz a few days ago, and then I wrote a little combo blog. I kind of put 3 things together into one yesterday. I've also been thinking about what to do now with the blog. I've had my blog now, different names, of course, the last 10 years, but for 10 years. I've had it for a decade now. And, to me, I'll be real. It has gotten traction at times, but also I don't get enough traction at times with people, engagement with blogs. I get more engagement with the podcast than anything else. And I wonder, and for some reason, I don't know why that is. And that's probably part of the reason why I don't feel motivated to write at times, is that writing for me is like a labor of love. Like, I love, it's the most satisfying medium I do, because it's the work involved, and you have to be real with yourself and being in that moment, and just kind of like putting your thoughts on well, I'll say paper, but in this case it'd be on either on your phone or on a computer, and just being honest with yourself. So when I finish a blog and I finish writing a little piece, I'm always satisfied about it. Even more than podcasts, to be honest with you. But I've been trying to figure out ways to change it up a little bit. And I'm really considering now shutting down the blog as is now at earnestchristian.com and really trying something new, going into a new host site, and even doing it differently, if you will. I've noticed with a lot of writers that I follow, especially a lot of them in the political sphere, they have really embraced newsletters. A lot of sports writers I'm friends with too, and some of them I'm colleagues ever. They've embraced the newsletter aspect where they still have the site, but you attach it to a newsletter, and some of them even get paid through it. I'm not looking for it. I'm not trying to make people pay for my writing, my work at this point. I'm nowhere close to that right now, but I've really considered actually moving my work to a site called Substack. Substack is, like as I said, it's a site. It's a newsletter site, blog, which you obviously people go to your link, of course, too. But the cool thing is that if you subscribe to it, my specific blogs or newsletters, whenever I write a piece, you get the entire article or blog through your email. Now, as I said, I have a couple of bloggers and whatever I do follow that I do get their work through that same medium. And so I've considered really going on that, doing that, moving forward. So I actually did open an account yesterday. I'm basically going to revamp the entire thing, call it Earnestly the blog, or Earnestly the newsletter, or whatever to call it. And, and just kind of go from there. Simple and to the point. I don't know if websites are something I really need anymore. Like, websites, to me, are, unless you're doing something, unless you have a product to sell, or the whatever your platform is, it's almost unnecessary to have a website anymore. A blog is a blog. If all you do is writing, and that's all you need to do, you want to have your information of who you are, about page, and whatever you're writing about, and then maybe one more page, whatever, that can be done on a simple newsletter, on a simple blog, and to be honest with you, it's actually also cost friendly too. Like, right now with my website, now granted, it's not a lot at all. I spend a few dollars a month on my website. It's like killing my bank, of course, but hey, if I can save that money on and put it on another platform for free, I'll do that. So, you guys can check out earnestchristian.substack.com. I've started writing up on there, and obviously, if you can also you want to subscribe to my pieces, in case you may forget to check in so often, just subscribe on there, email on there, and then of course, and then anything I put out, you'll obviously get into your mailbox. And I do intend to write more, especially now, as I feel like going this route now, the motivation to write more is actually probably started to really get get the the brain working again, and the motivation is starting to write. It's funny how you go through different platforms and different ideas that you start to, okay, I feel like I can do this again, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe this is gonna be the step to get me out of my my rut, if you will. Because I came in this year, I really had good intentions this year coming into 2020, and obviously 2020 has been a disaster for obvious reasons. But I really had intentions of 2020 really getting back to writing again, consistently speaking. I'm not saying every day, but at least a couple times a week, and I haven't really done that consistently. But we'll see if this works out. So check out earnestchristian.substack.com. Subscribe, please. It's free of charge, and just support it. I really appreciate it. You know what I mean? Now, we've been talking a lot this week on the various podcasts this week. We've done a lot of podcasts this week. We've done, I think, one with Kyle and Zach on Monday. I did a solo one also, I believe, the day after that. And then Roz and G came on the pod on Thursday. And this is actually our fourth show of the week. I mean, I'm grateful I've been able to record a lot. And the Washington Redskins, through each episode we've done, the Washington Redskins have been a topic. Because of the name change and all that. And now, obviously, I think we were talking about on the episode with Roz and G back on Thursday about the rumors about the scandal that was about the drop. A lot of things going on with 15 cheerleaders and stuff involving Jay Gruden. Former coach Jay Gruden possibly involved in some really shiesty stuff involving the team. And of course, Dan Snyder, the threat of Dan Snyder maybe losing the team as a result and all that. Well, the Washington Post finally dropped the quote-unquote bombshell. Okay? And I put quote-unquote, and I wrote this on the blog too, by the way. I put quote-unquote because from what we were led to believe was going to be released before it actually dropped on Washington Post, is a lot lighter, a lot weaker than what we were led to believe was going to happen. Now, I'm not sure if there'd be more things coming out in the coming days. It's possible. They're putting this out little by little. Drip, 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 what do you call that? But based on the article, I read the article on Thursday night, and maybe it's still bad. I'm not absolving anybody here, of course. Dan Snyder included. And all the employees involved who have now gotten fired or disciplined or whatever. But the blowback is going to be light in comparison to what we all thought was going to happen. Dan Snyder is probably going to continue to be owner of the team, of the Washington football team, still not named yet. You're going to have fines, which of course you'll be able to afford that. So this will go away. This will go away pretty quickly, unless the information we heard 3 days ago will come down the road. Now, it's also going to be a situation where maybe Dan Snyder was able to put legal action into limiting the amount of information coming out of things that other allegations that were in the initial rumors that I read on the Reddit page. So I don't know, but it's been a bad week for Washington all around. But it seems that based on the article, based on the report, 15 alleged sexual assaults, sexual harassments. At the end of the day, it's terrible. Obviously, what happened, but it's not gonna. I don't think, and obviously, people we're hearing the blowback now. It's not gonna impact the ownership group or ownership of Dan Snyder's team. Honestly, fine, and then go from there. Which it's it sucks, but you're gonna. All right, Donald Trump this week shake up his campaign. Not surprised at all. He fired or demoted. Well, he demoted his campaign manager, Brad Parscale, which I called back, by the way, after the Tulsa rally that was a bomb. I said he'll get fired, and they'll. I'm actually surprised that they didn't fire him days after, but he got demoted. And obviously that's a big deal because especially now if you look at some of the polling now of the election, as I said, moving into late July now. Joe Biden's still leading nationally by nearly 10 points, if not 10 points. Some polls have him up bigger than that. I know Quentin Piac had him up as much as 15 points as of the Wednesday and Thursday poll. Rasmussen at one point had him up 10 points. Conservative Rasmussen had him up 10 points. Was a big deal. My thing is, though, you take the liberal leaning poll, you take the conservative leaning poll, and whatever numbers they have, you put it in the middle. So if the conservative Rasmussen has 10 and liberal leaning Quentin Piac has 15, the lead is 12.5 points. And again, the fact we now know there is deterioration around the Trump campaign because the fact that Joe Biden is either competitive or leading in Alaska. By the way, Trump's only up 1 point in Alaska. Democrats have not won Alaska since 1964. Lyndon Johnson. Okay? Since then, Republicans have not just won in Alaska every election cycle, they've dominated. No matter the candidate. Doesn't matter who it is. Bob Dole included in 96 as Clinton. But the fact that Joe Biden is leading or competitive in Texas, Georgia, Arizona, and in states that Trump shocked folks in winning at the Rust Belt, where Wisconsin, where he won by less than 1%, he's now trailing by double digits now in Wisconsin. He's trailing big in Pennsylvania. Okay, Florida supposedly is down 7-8 points now, which is obviously a big deal. I still think he'll look. I think Trump will still win Texas and Georgia, whatever. But I think there's a lot. He needs. The thing is, with the Republican candidate, they need a lot of things to go their way to break their way. Because going into any election, Democrats have an advantage. It's really the election every 4 years really comes down to 10, 11 states, swing states, and having Donald Trump. Donald Trump really, was able to run the Rust Belt, win Florida, win Ohio. It's probably not going to be the same way this time around. He'll probably lose Wisconsin. He'll probably lose Pennsylvania. Ohio will probably in the air. Florida's obviously in the air. The polling is saying Biden's winning big. And like I say, he's competitive in Texas. He's competitive in Georgia. I mean, states that are ruby red, normally ruby red. So there's definitely deterioration around the Trump campaign. And, yeah. So we'll see how things go. But like I said, also too, and I wrote about it on the last blog. There's still 3.5 months left. 3.5 months left of this election before election day, and that's 3.5 more months of Joe Biden to fuck this up. Joe Biden to pull Atlanta Falcons 28-3 lead. I mean, it can happen. I'm not gonna put anything past him, but between the coronavirus and the unrests in this country, there's definitely deterioration around Donald Trump right now. So we'll see what happens going forward. This week was also the debut of the Peacock app, NBC's long-awaited app. I checked out the free tier, and by the way, I gotta give a shout out to my sister, whose company she works at a streaming company, and she was on the podcast back in April, and she explained that this is coming out soon. She worked very hard on this. Her and her team that she worked very hard on this. So I'm very proud of my sister Christina for doing this. She was on the podcast back in April 30th. So check it out if you get a chance in the backlog. She discussed a little bit. The Peacock app coming and whatnot. I like it, not bad. There's a free tier, obviously, which I got now. There's a $5 tier where it's some ads, and there's a $10 tier with no ads. Not sure if I'm going to get any of that yet. I'm just looking through the roster of shows that they do have that may be interesting that I want to look at right now. But yeah, it's very sleek though. The app itself is very sleek right now. But you can also watch live TV on there. There's actually the one cool thing on the app I do like is that they have a thing called the Office Shorts. I think it's called the Office Shorts, right? So basically, it's basically pieces of episodes, and they create episodes and 30-minute episodes out of that. So not bad. Definitely have it on the app. I'll see maybe move forward. I'll probably pay for entry tier to pay for. But the thing is though, I am subscribed to so many apps though. WWE, HBO, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon. That's 5 right there, right? I'm subscribed also to something else. I think I'm supposed to. Oh, I explained last on the pod a couple weeks ago. Nick Hits, which I got for the kids actually. So that's Nickelodeon, by the way. Nick Hits. So I got a lot of apps. I got to start looking into and keeping costs down a little bit. I want to go too crazy though. But we do. The thing is, we do use the apps though. I have 2 kids, and Nick Hits. They love the apps too. They also use Hulu, they also Netflix, and everything else. So we do use them. So not like it's not being used. They are being used. So there's that. What I do? Oh yeah. So this week also, and I mentioned in the last solo pod back on Tuesday when I recorded that I had never actually watched the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12 from bell to bell. Well, that ended this week. This past Wednesday, I actually watched the entire match from the bell to bell, 60 minutes. I gotta be honest with you. I get when I ask about people's opinion on the matches through the years, I get a lot of mixed views. Like a lot of people say it's a good match, too long. Obviously, it's an Iron Man match, so that's why it's supposed to be long. A lot of people say it was too long and parts are boring. I gotta be honest with you, man. I wasn't bored at all. I loved it. I thought the psychology, and I think watching that match really, obviously Shawn Michaels is a phenomenal talent, one of the greatest of all time. But man, Bret Hart, man, seriously, in that era too, especially, just the psychology of it. And look, obviously wrestling is scripted, so you have to suspend reality. You know what I'm saying? A little bit. And those 2 guys were able to do it. They do it in a way where you do suspend reality. It looked like a real fight. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed the match. I thought, just being able to the whole hour really didn't feel like an hour because I was so into the match. I mean, obviously knew who won the match. Obviously knew that for years, but I thought it was great. It was only an hour and then another 3-4 minutes because remember he went to a sudden death. But I loved it. I thought it was great. Like I said, a lot of mixed reviews on that match because it's too long. I thought, was it long? Of course, it's long. It's an hour match, but you really don't look at you honestly don't really notice the time. Like the clock is sitting there ticking, 50 minutes, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, but you don't really notice it. Like once you're into the match, and this is why Bret and Shawn are two of the all-time greats. They really make you suspend reality. And the fact there was no pins either for the 60 minutes is incredible. They really did a great job of suspending reality. So finally got to watch the match from bell to bell, and I don't regret it. And honestly, I'll do it again. I will do it again. So that was great. Finally, before I go, Metallica, my favorite band in the whole world, they announced Wednesday as well too that finally S&M 2 Symphony Metallica, after the first time in 21 years, they will be dropping that on August 28th. S&M, of course, they did the first one in 1999 with the San Francisco Symphony. I call them San Francisco Sympathy, but whatever. And they did the concert actually at the opening of the Chase Arena in San Francisco and the Golden State Warriors home. And they did a concert back September 7th last year. And I actually wanted to go to that show, and then I saw take prices. I was like, oh, fuck, I can't afford this. No way in hell I'm going to be able to make this concert. You know what I mean? They obviously filmed the show for 2 nights, and they've been talking about releasing it. It actually got a theatrical release, if I'm not mistaken, about a month after this concert. But I wasn't able to see it in concert because I had a work schedule and all that. See it in theaters. And I guess they had plans on actually releasing it early in the year, but because of the virus and all that, it's been delayed. Well, if I announced this week that it'll be out August 28th. I'm really, really excited about this one too because the playlist is really cool. As you know, when they did S&M 1 back in 1999, the material they did, obviously they debuted 2 new songs on that concert, but they also basically the material from Kill 'Em All up until at that point it was Garage Inc. or Reload was the last album. So since 1999 they've released 3 albums. They released Saint Anger 2003, Death Magnetic in 2008, and then recently 4 years ago they released Hardwired Self-Destruct. Can't believe it's been 4 years since that album came out. And I went through the playlist because they released they released 2 songs. Because I have my Apple Music, so they released 2 songs, 2 videos. Nothing Else Matters is the one they released, which obviously that was on the last S&M as well too, so no surprise there. But they did All Within My Hands, and this is actually really, really cool because All Within My Hands is one of the songs. If you're a casual Metallica fan, you may not know that song because you may not like Saint Anger, and yet that's the last song on Saint Anger. It's also named a charity as well too, but that song, I'm a diehard, so I know all the material. So when I saw the songs they were doing that were actually out of the like newer stuff, like they're going to be doing for the for this, I was stunned at the songs. Like you're gonna have your typical Enter Sandmans and the Ones and the Wearing My Roams and From the Bell Tolls, all that. But I was also going to see what songs they're going to add to this thing from the last couple albums. And I am very, very happy to announce that they did, for example, they did The Day That Never Comes from Death Magnetic. And that was the first single off the album. Confusion from the last album, Hardwired Self-Destruct. Moth in the Flame also from the last album as well. Outlaw Torn was on the last S&M too. But to me, that was probably one of the best songs, most underrated songs on the entire S&M thing. And they did it again. They did No Clover again. Halo on Flyers on here too. A couple things here like Enter the Iron Foundry. I'm not sure if these are new songs or not, but they did Off in the Hands, which I just said a while ago. They did Anesthesia Pulling Teeth on this as well too. It's from Kill 'Em All, and I think the because that's all bass. That's all Cliff Burton. I think that I saw a clip from the trailer, and I think the bassist plays strings on that, and basically mimics Cliff's stuff on there through his strings on the bass, but the standing bass or strings, whatever it is. It sounds really awesome. I saw like a little clip of it on the trailer. And then of course you have puppets and Rome One, all that, Enter Sandman's of the world, all the popular shit, whatever. But I love the set list. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing the songs that we've never heard what the strings are for. I mean, if you heard SM1, obviously you know the songs on there what they are. And they're incredible. Cthulhu, again, of course, is the first track out the gate after the intro. But I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm looking forward to watching it and all that. Like I said, all within my hands, especially too. I'm actually glad they did, a Song of Sin and Anger, because that's the one album that they, obviously fans hate that album because it's. And I'm going to do a podcast with our old friend here, James Neese, who's on the show, wrestling podcaster, sports podcaster. We're going to do a thing on Saint Anger in hopefully the next couple weeks. Excuse me. I'm actually going to defend it a little bit too, because I've always said Saint Anger had good songs, but was produced terribly, and that was on purpose too, because they were trying to strip the whole thing down. But the point is, I'm glad they really use a couple songs from Saint Anger, or at least one song from Saint Anger, and yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this and seeing this in its completion. So yeah, SM2 from Metallica will be out August 28th. So there's that. Anyway, that's about 30 minutes of dribble drabble. So we'll catch you next time. Of course, I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7. Like I said, check out the new blog, the blog. I'm moving the newsletter. EarnestChristian.substack.com. And like I said, subscribe to it too, especially so you can get all the emails, newsletters through your email as well. So until then, love you guys. Take care. Stay safe as always. And until the next episode. See you.